in this Scholars Chair is the founder and director of the International Quranic Research Association, ICRA, and he's also an author of a new book called The Prophetic Example, a guide for a new generation. He has a subtitle to the book, and it is the Surah of the Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace be with the Prophet, for today's youth. Our discussion today is going to try to focus on the constitutional rights and Americans' responsibility to maintain them. But I'm looking forward to this exchange because it's a very contemporary topic. What are the rights of American Constitution that are in the American Constitution that makes it so extraordinary?
I thank you for inviting me, and I would like to add that I decided to make United States my home specifically because we have a very good constitution, and I'm going to answer your question and tell you why I think it's extraordinary.
Yes.
Why the rights each one of us enjoyed for many years were based on the Constitution. Unfortunately, today, all the freedom we enjoyed in the past is threatened.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be straightforward. I'm trying to be clear because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked me in the Quran. He says, when you speak, try to be straight and say what's right. So this is what I'm trying to do.
What we're trying to do.
So basically, let me answer your question and tell you the American Constitution is extraordinary because it places limits on government power in order to protect the inherent dignity, liberty, and conscience of the individual. Among its most remarkable guarantees are freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, and the petition, and to be able to petition the government, protection from arbitrary arrest and punishment, due process under the law, which is I consider one of the most important freedoms or rights, equal protection, and the principle that power derives from the people, not from the rulers. What makes these rights exceptional is that they were enshrined not as privileges granted by the state, but as liberties the state must respect and protect. Historically, government granted rights conditionally. The American system reversed that assumption by declaring that rights exist prior to government and must be safeguarded against it.
That is an amazing bit of history and a synopsis that I have never heard before. Thank you for that. And the audience is in for a real treat here. You wrote in your essay that the rights written down in the American Constitution do not enforce themselves by themselves. That's the whole point. You want the Americans to participate in maintaining the laws. But please explain.
Yes. Rights written on paper have no power unless people are willing to defend, invoke, and uphold them. Courts don't act unless cases are brought before them. Laws are not applied unless citizens insist on accountability. Free expression disappears if people self-censor out of fear or convenience. The Constitution assumes an active citizenry, one that votes, speaks out, challenges abuses, and resists unlawful authority. Without civic engagement, even the strongest legal protection becomes symbolic rather than real.
Yes, and that is what is happening, is that we're not informed about our laws enough to stand up for them. And you say that this inactivity to enforce the laws create a danger of erosion.
Yes.
And I think that is happening as we see on the news every day. But
yes.
but what are your what are your ideas of trying to stop that erosion?
Well, first of all, I'm trying to do things on several fronts.
Mm.
I'm using social media to explain
Yes.
to my fellow Americans
Mm.
their rights.
Yes.
I know the Constitution.
Yes.
I chose the Constitution. I considered myself when I came to the United States like the forefathers who decided to come here freely. No one forced me to come to the United States to live here.
Yeah.
I decided to come here because I believe in those constitutional principles.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yes.
So it is painful to me to see our rights, to see our liberties eroding.
Yes.
So let me talk about it and tell you how liberty uh, will disappear
Mhm.
from a country.
Yes.
Liberties rarely disappear overnight.
Yes.
That will not happen. They erode slowly when people grow disengaged or complacent,
Mhm.
when citizens fail to object to small violations, such as censorship in the name of safety, surveillance justified by fear, unequal application of the law. Those exceptions become precedents. Inactivity signals consent. Power naturally expand into vacuum left by disengagement.
Yeah.
And over time, this erodes constitutional norms, weakens checks and balances, and normalizes restrictions that would once have been unthinkable. What's happening today, we thought last year is unthinkable, yet it's happening.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. Actually, sitting at home and feeling, well, I have nothing to do with this. I was born here. I've been American all my life. They're saying this is against the immigrants and the criminals and those that are coming to rob our. Well, I'll tell you what. It's there is a very famous, saying. Uh, I didn't do anything when I thought they're coming for the Jews. I didn't do anything when I thought they're coming for the blacks. I didn't do anything when they said they're coming for the Hispanic.
Right.
And then when they came for me, no one was left to help me.
Yes, and the ignorance of the moral imperative of your statement is very important. The love of God and neighbor,
Yes,
and
indeed.
it is deeply involved with being an educated person about your laws that you choose to live by, and you have relegated this constitutional contract that we have with the citizens of the United States to a very important level. And you said, and you asked the question, why, or actually I'm asking the question, why are the principles of freedom of speech, freedom of worship, and the right to assemble and the peaceful protest so special and so extraordinary?
Well, these freedoms protect conscious and collective moral expression,
Yeah.
which are the foundation of all rights. Freedom of worship ensures that belief is not coerced. Freedom of speech allows truth to challenge power.
Hmm.
Peaceful assembly gives individual the ability to act together for justice. Authoritarian systems suppress these first because they threaten unchecked authority. The American system protects them because it recognizes that moral legitimacy flows from open debate, dissent, and accountability, not force.
Yes, yes, yes. No, I think that well, it's interesting that you're taking this same position that Frederick Douglass took back in the 1860s, that he was actually talking about that this contractual document is very important, and we should be supportive of it. But he also took out the arguments that the founders were having when they were creating it. He said that is not our laws. There are discussions, there are proclivities of different ethnic groups and so forth. That is not our constitutional law. He said this document is what we're talking about, and he insists upon being a part of it. You have written really very very poignantly on this topic, and I see that you have studied it very deeply. But I was curious, you are asking basically Americans to take more responsibility for their human rights.
Yes.
But please explain why is it important?
Well, basically, rights are not merely inherited.
Yeah.
They are maintained through responsibility. If you don't feel responsible for your freedoms, you're going to lose them. You were born and found that this constitution is in place. That doesn't mean it created itself. Citizens like you put this constitution together. And it's your job and mine to protect it and fight for our rights and the freedoms this constitution guarantees for us. And I got news for you. I don't know any other place in the world where citizens enjoy the same rights we enjoy under this constitution. It's worth fighting for. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
So every generation becomes a steward of this constitution for the liberties that it states. When citizens treat rights as automatic entitlement rather than shared obligation, those rights weaken. I'm not being alarmist here. I'm reading history, and I know what happened in history when people became relaxed and allowed the government to impose things on them. Whenever free people stopped tending to their civic duties, their freedoms eroded. Not suddenly, but steadily.
Yeah, yes. It's a slow drip.
Yes.
We're holding it.
But it will happen.
Yes, Dr. Kaskas, the next area of focus is on the Islamic principles that is supportive of what you have just said about the American Constitution. There are core principles in maintaining law and order in Islam, but I wanted to just talk about four of them. There's a lot more than four, but I just want to focus in on principles like justice. Tell me your view on this topic. It is a foundational Islamic principle.
Yes. Actually, when we start talking about those particular principles in Islam, we will find that they all come from the Quran. And they're not theoretical, because at one time in history, while Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was alive, he was invited to rule a particular city with two major tribes at each other neck all the time, killing each other for years.
Yes.
And they got tired fighting, and they wanted somebody who is trusted, somebody who's known to be trustworthy, to come and govern them. And they wanted someone from outside the two tribes. So they invited him to what is called Medina. At that time, it was called Yathrib. And he went there after 1 year of the invitation, after he made sure they truly want him to lead them. So he went there, and first thing he did is he marked where he's going to build his first mosque. The mosque, by the way, in Islam, for the Prophet was like the presidential palace, where his office is, where he meets people, where he meets delegation. So it was important to mark where that place will be. Next morning, all the people that invited the head of the various tribes came to pledge allegiance to him. This was a cultural Arabian habit. When a new person is chosen to lead, you come and pledge your allegiance. Now, Prophet Muhammad looked at them and said, "This is not what we do. In my religion is contractual." They say, "What do you mean?" He said, "If we want to get married, we sign a contract. If we want to go to business, we sign a contract. You want me to lead you without giving you a contract?" They say, "Okay, we don't know how to do this. Could you do one?" He said, "Yes, I will." And he produced what I consider the first social contract in history. It's called the Constitution of Medina, or the Document of Medina, as it's known historically. That particular document had 64 constitutional articles. They were all based on the Quran without him mentioning the Quran not even once.
Yes.
So because the people those articles are going to apply to are uh, uh, idol worshippers.
Yes.
They were 45%, and 40% Jews, and less than 15% Muslims at that time. Yet, because those principles come from the Quran, they were humanitarian. They appealed to every human being, and they were fair and equitable. And they all approved the Constitution, approved that this social contract will rule the relationship between them, and they didn't know it is based on the Quran. I know this now because I studied the Quran in detail, and I studied the Constitution of Medina in detail. I know exactly from which verses in the Quran those constitutional articles come from. So when we talk about justice in Islam, we're not talking about something theoretical. We're talking about something that was part of a constitution created by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and implemented and provided justice, true justice, to people of various faith, various races, various colors, and they all were happy with it. So what does the Quran say about justice? Well, justice in Islam is foundational. Islamic law, it's central to Islamic governance and personal conduct. The Quran commands fairness, even against oneself. The Quran ordered me to be just, even if it is against myself or against my people or against my family. Justice in Islam is not arbitrary or political. It is moral and transcendent and transcendent, rooted in accountability before God. This parallel constitutional ideals. Laws must restrain power and protect the vulnerable. This is the basic justice in Islam.
Yes. And it protects everybody, and it is not just for a small community of people, as you just said. It's actually a universal principle. So
absolutely
everybody can embrace it. And you mentioned in our discussion earlier, there were a number of Jewish tribes in Medina at this time.
Yes,
there was a conflict that happened between the Jews and the rulers of Medina at the time, or even the prophet, and they actually created treason against the establishment of the state by offering information that hurt the city.
And fighting against the people of the city.
Right.
They joined the enemies to fight against the people of Medina.
Okay. And the punishment for treason was what in this case?
Well, actually, when the enemy lost the battle and they all went back to Medina, those Jews that betrayed, not all Jews, the Jews who betrayed specific people.
Right. Specific.
Otherwise, we'll be confusing the truth.
Yeah.
Only those who fought against Muslim were arrested, and they are 40 in numbers. Because some people talk about 700, some people talk about no, they were 40, and I wrote articles about this and did a lot of research about it. They were 40 people only, and they were Jews. So instead of Prophet Muhammad applying Islamic law against them, he applied Jewish law. The law from the Torah.
Yes.
This is how you accomplish justice.
Yes.
This is what justice means. We believe as Muslims that the Torah was revealed from God, the same God who revealed the Quran to us to complete his messages to humanity. So when few Jews betrayed the other Jews and betrayed the Muslims, Muhammad said, what does the Torah say about this? And their rabbis came and say, this is what the Torah says, they should be killed. so the 40 were executed. There were only 40 who went and fought with the enemies.
Yes. But there are a number of different Jewish tribes in Medina
Yes.
at the time.
I'm saying those 40 Jews who betrayed the city, they also betrayed the other Jewish tribes.
I got you right.
They betrayed Jews, they betrayed Muslim, and they betrayed everybody else who was living there.
Yes. And you believe that establishing, well, that was part of the agreement, wasn't it? That they could stay in Medina and rule their affairs based on Jewish law.
Actually, this was the law. They were originally from Medina. There is no such thing as they can live in Medina. They were from Medina. By the way, I told you Medina was called Yathrib at that time.
Yeah.
After the Prophet offered them that social contract, they decided to change the name because the name means it comes from Madani, which is civil, because it was the only city in the world run by civil law, although its leader is a prophet.
Yes, interesting. Yeah, in terms of his leadership, is he handling day-to-day governance, or
Yes.
is he more like
No, he was handling day-to-day governance.
I see. You have an example of that?
Absolutely. I mean, whatever problem happened between the inhabitants of that city, they brought to the prophet. If they have a conflict over trade, the people that have the conflict bring it to the prophet, and he will judge between them. And if they have, even sometime, if a woman is not happy with her husband, she'll come and talk to the prophet about her husband not treating her fairly. So he will call for him and ask him about his points of view and try to tell them how to reconcile together the proper way. So he was taking care of every little and large detail.
Yes. It is much more than I had known before about this topic. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Sure.
The protection of essentials. Do you want to discuss the Mukasab el-Sharia?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
That's a very important topic that we need to talk about it, and I'll be glad to talk about it. We have a term here called Maqasid al-Sharia.
Yeah.
And there is a word Sharia in it, and we got used lately to people scaring other people. Sharia is coming, and they all run and hide under the beds because Muslims might bring Sharia to the United States. Scare tactics, trying to badmouth Muslims and badmouth Sharia. Let me start by defining the term Sharia and what it means, and then we will move forward to other areas. Okay. Sharia is the moral and spiritual path rooted in the Quran, guiding human beings toward what gives life, justice, dignity, compassion, balance, and the flourishing of individuals and society. That's what Sharia means. Now, Islamic law aims to preserve 5 essential values, and that developed over like 3 centuries. Their faith, life, intellect, property, and family. These are the 5 essential that Sharia try to protect. Your faith is protected. The state should protect your faith. You should be able to have any faith you want, because the Quran says there is no compulsion in religion. It never asks people to change religion and become Muslims. So the state will protect your faith, regardless what that faith is. So the state has a responsibility to protect your life. You should be secure at home. You should be secure in the streets and not be scared of government agencies or government agent threatening your life anytime you're walking on the street.
Yes.
Your intellectual freedom. I enjoyed living in the United States, expressing myself freely without any fear. They want me now to make sure that I'm watching what I'm saying. And I had a conversation with my wife the other day. Should I cool it? No, I'm not going to cool it. I'm not going to cool it because
Yes.
Islam taught me to stand up for my rights.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I'm going to stand up for my rights and the rights of my neighbors and the rights of every American. All Americans are my neighbors.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, and then you have the right to own property. This didn't exist before. Now this is a right. No one can prevent you from owning property, and the state job is to protect your ownership of that property. If somebody try to take it over, you go to talk to the police, and it's their job to get it back to you. So no one can infringe on your freedoms and the right to have a family. This is a very important right. Having a family gives life purpose. And without a family, we're just, living alone, feeling that we didn't contribute much. Now, the late Dr. Robert Crane, who was like a brother to me,
Yes.
and intellectually, we were working together on a lot of things, developed instead of maqasid. Maqasid means the ultimate purposes of Sharia.
Mhm.
We were able to develop, instead of those 5 I just mentioned to you, 8 purposes for a meaningful life. 8 purposes for a meaningful life. What are these purposes? To have a purposeful life is your first right.
Yes.
You have the right to have a purposeful life.
Yes.
I don't have to live like the government tell me to live. I live any way I want.
Yes.
At one time, I was a hippie, and no one can tell me or force me to change that style of life. Right now, I'm an academic, and no one has the right to tell me change and try to wear funny clothes and tie something around your head and be a hippie again. It's
Right.
my choice. And I prevent myself from criticizing others and their choice for their life because this is what the law says. And this is what Islam says. Now, also the right to have justice, adl, the right to have liberties, حرية, اختيار, freedom to choose. That's what freedom and liberty means. Security, aman. I have the right to live in my house knowing that no one will break the front door and go in and take away some valuables I have. I have to have security. And then I have the right to live in peace, salam. This is where the word Islam and Muslim come from, salam, peace. So a Muslim is a peacemaker if he care to investigate where the word Muslim come from and try to have a purposeful life. We have the right to have a human dignity. No one can come and infringe on me, forcing me to lie or forcing me to say wrong things because I have my own dignity. And I don't allow anybody to infringe on that, and the state will protect me doing that. Then the right to have a life of virtue. In Arabic, taqwa and ihsan and makarim akhlaq, virtues, to have virtues and implement these virtues in my life. Then the right to have prosperity. In Arabic, it's called falah. I can engage in business, make money, and no one has the right to take away that money or close my company forcefully because I have the right to prosper. I have the right to have ownership, and I have the right to prosper. Those objectives resemble modern conceptions of human rights, but are grounded in moral responsibility rather than individual autonomy alone. In Islam, law exists not to dominate, but to protect human flourishing.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's the difference.
And I remember a statement made by Dr. Crane, if it's not directing the individual and the community towards God, it isn't law. And I said that that is a very interesting perspective because we should be refining it all. Everything we do, and we should be refining it. So that is the direction that you have reintroduced to us. now we have God at the center of our discussion. What is the sovereignty, the divine sovereignty?
Well, divine sovereignty is not just one attribute among many, it is the source from which all other attributes flow. It's the foundation for everything. In Islam, God is not sovereign because he has power. He has power because he's sovereign. Everything begins there. His names, the merciful, the just, the wise, the living, all derive their meaning from his absolute authority over existence. If he was not sovereign, his mercy would be limited, his justice conditional, and his wisdom partial. But because he is the sovereign, his attributes are perfect, abundant, and self-sufficient. From his sovereignty flows life, because he is the one who gives it and sustained it. Flows law, because moral order must come from the one who knows the all hearts and all the outcomes for everything. Flows revelations, because guidance is an act of sovereign generosity. Accountability, because judgment belongs only to the uniquely singular one who sees the whole truth. By the way, uniquely singular in Arabic is ahad, not wahid, ahad.
Ahad. Okay.
Ahad.
Good.
This is why divine sovereignty does not crush human freedom, it grounds it. God's sovereignty limits human power, restrains tyranny, and places every authority under a higher moral law. In that sense, divine sovereignty functions much like constitutional supremacy. It prevents any human being from claiming absolute power, but it goes further. A constitution can be amended, manipulated, or ignored. Divine sovereignty cannot. It is the ultimate safeguard of human dignity.
The fact that God is sovereign.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
And he gave us the law that limits our authorities.
Yes.
We have limited authority on earth. We are designated as vice regent, as people who represent God on earth. So our freedom is limited to what he gave, to the rights he gave us. We cannot exceed them.
Because this is one of the principles of El Tawheed, the oneness of God, the oneness of his creation. And I think we're talking about the unity of his principles as well,
yes.
or attributes, what you're saying, which is something that we need to come back to here in the U.S. I think that this is of everything that we have in this great country. This commitment to God is not as strong as it used to be, and I think that that's something that we need to kind of re-examine. How do we return back to it without diminishing anyone's faith or religion or that?
May I suggest, Brother Khalil, that the fact that Muslims are becoming more in numbers here will help us slowly regain the importance of God in our lives.
Yes.
I often talk to my Christian neighbors and remind them that if they truly want to be Christians, they need to follow Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm not against that. I'm for it.
Yes.
Because the teachings of Jesus and the teachings of the Quran are one and the same. I just finished a book talking about this, and I called the book The Great Unifier. Yes. Jesus is the great unifier. His teaching for the 99% American who are not Muslim and the 1% who are Muslims are the same. We just need to remind each other of what the Quran teaches and what Jesus taught and follow it.
Follow it. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I think that's right. And we have to give people their religious freedom.
Absolutely.
In that process.
And if my Muslim brothers are listening right now, I like to tell them that if you want to live and prosper in this country, you need to understand the 99% others who are living here, and you need to love them. because our Prophet ﷺ loved the Christian and gave them protection, signed documents to protect them. We have 6 or 7 treaties, documents, given gifts from the Prophet ﷺ to the Christians of the world. And there are books written on this topic.
How many? How many documents?
6 or 7.
Yeah.
To various Christians around the world. So
And
Muslims need to know this and need to read what the Prophet said about the Christians. He didn't say, let's fight them until they become Muslims. He didn't say that. The Quran doesn't say that.
Yes.
We need to live with them and respect them, show them respect.
Even further, to guard and protect their places of worship. And that was something else that he advised the Muslims to do. In the document that I read was that he was giving this agreement to, I believe, a monk where he actually
Saint Catherine in the Sinai desert.
Okay.
Saint Catherine in the Sinai desert.
Yes.
He was saying not even one brick from a church should be removed by a Muslim to do something else with it.
Yes.
So in other words, we need to we have the responsibility of protecting the churches.
That's right. For the worship that Christians do.
Yes, exactly.
That is quite it's really quite American, to be quite frank with you.
Well, see, this country has a lot to offer.
Yeah.
If we stop bullying other countries and start treating everybody like Jesus told us to treat them, like neighbors.
Yes.
The 2 greatest commandments Jesus told us about when he was challenged. Master, what is the greatest commandment? Well, the first one is to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and all your strength. And the second one, like it, to love your neighbor like yourself. And he said, on these 2 are built all the prophets and all the teachings.
That is a good reminder.
Of course.
Tell me a little bit about due process. How does that work in the paradigm that you're mentioning?
Absolutely. Due process is the foundational principle that no person, I'm saying, not no citizen, no person may be deprived of life, liberty, or property without fair and established procedures. It protects individuals from the overwhelming power of the state by guaranteeing the right to a fair hearing, the presumption of innocence, the right to know the charges, the right to challenge evidence, and when one is in custody, the right to remain silent and to have an attorney present. These safeguards exist to ensure that justice is not shaped by emotion, rumor, racism, or coercion, but by evidence and impartial procedures. But who is meant when we say a person? What does person mean in the due process clauses? Both the 5th Amendment and the 14th Amendment use the word person, not citizen. According to the American Immigration Council, the 5th Amendment says clearly that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
Wow.
Note that it says person, not citizen. I'm repeating because it's important.
Yes.
The Supreme Court has consistently ruled that the due process clause applies to all people in the United States. And the International Rescue Committee states due process guarantees everyone in America, including non-citizens, the right to fair treatment. Both citizen and non-citizen in the U.S. have the right to due process. This is a very important right.
It is a very important right, yes. So this lining up and capturing people and putting them on buses and planes and prisons is against the 5th Amendment.
Without due process.
Without due process.
Arbitrarily.
Yes.
If they don't like the way you look, they take you.
Yes.
This is un-American.
It's un-American.
The founding fathers are turning in their graves.
Yes.
Because of what's happening today.
Yes. Yes. So my ancestors, the African Americans, were really being down without regard for the Fifth Amendment at all. So, but
It's
that's
terrible.
very enlightening, and you're attaching that to the Islamic principle.
Actually, brother, what I talked about is due process according to American Constitution.
Right. Exactly.
But I'm going to tell you now that Islamic jurisprudence mirrors this commitment with remarkable clarity. It started with us actually,
Mm-hmm.
and then moved here. Classical jurists placed an extraordinarily high bar on evidence, insisting that suspicion, accusation, or public pressure could never establish guilt. This is in the Islamic word.
Wow.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam repeatedly emphasized avoiding punishment in case of doubt, teaching that it is better for a guilty person to escape punishment than for an innocent person to suffer injustice. Confessions obtained under pressure were invalid, and judges were warned against allowing personal bias, social status, or public sentiments to influence their rulings. Both systems, American and Islamic, modern constitutional laws and Islamic legal tradition, share a common moral intuition. No human authority is absolute, and justice collapses when power is unchecked. Due process, in the constitutional sense, and the evidently rigor of Islamic jurisprudence both serve the same purpose: to protect human dignity by ensuring that truth, fairness, and restraint govern the pursuit of justice.
Mm-hmm.
So, some of what we discussed is specific to American laws, but the core idea and due process is universal. There are other countries also who have due process in the world.
We have justice, but we also have to have a process in which to administer it. Right?
Yes, without the process, it's theoretical to say I have justice. According to whom? Who will define that? See, justice, when we have the same rules applying to everybody.
Mm-hmm. This is fascinating, and matter of fact, I don't think that I've actually read a branch of philosophy that actually dealt with this in just the summary that you've given. So this is quite unique, very special.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
The moral imperative of everything we've been saying is quite evident. Is that we can lose our morality in how we govern our society. Particularly if you have a particular interest that is not justice or is not just, that can run into societal problems that affect us around the world.
Yes.
And I think that's what we're seeing. You know, people are recognizing that the actions that our government is taking is unjust and they're not supportive.
It's making us look terrible for the rest of the world.
Yeah. This is something we need.
Well, actually, when you talk about the moral imperatives, you're talking about what is known as al-amr bil-ma'ruf wal-nahy an al-munkar, promoting good and preventing harm, which is the job of every Muslim all day long, 7 days a week.
Every individual, basically.
Every individual, every Muslim.
Yeah.
This particular concept is misunderstood in a lot of places. It's primarily a moral and social responsibility, not vigilantism. We're not required to be vigilantes. We do it within the laws. Again, we don't take the laws into our own hands and try to implement what we think is right. What we think is right should be spelled out in a constitution or clear documents.
Right.
So it is primarily a moral and social responsibility, not vigilantism. It emphasizes advice, example, and restraint. Each one of us has to be an example to the others, beginning with personal conduct. In a healthy society, moral accountability flows from conscience and community, not coercion alone.
So simply doing the right thing and being
based
seen.
on the Quran and the Sunnah.
Yeah.
Each Muslim need to understand what the Quran asks him to do, how the Quran asks him to live,
Mm-hmm.
and find out how the Prophet ﷺ implemented that in his own life and the life of the companions.
Mm-hmm.
Then that will be the way we will live. Now, based on being in the 21st century, some of this stuff will be amended, will be changed, because what the society agree it's good becomes good. For instance, if I walk in a short in the street in Fairfax, Virginia, nobody will even look at me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I walk in a short in Saudi Arabia, everybody will wonder what's wrong with me, you know?
Right.
So,
Right.
so social culture matters in defining what is considered good and what is considered bad, in addition to what the Quran defined. What the Quran put a definition to is done, it's forever.
Right.
But all that is subject to cultures also. The Quran leaves us a lot of room for cultures to grow and develop.
Mm-hmm. So it is, the moral imperative has cultural context. Is that your point?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We have a way of life defined what's right and what's wrong in the Quran and in the Sunnah. And then we have the American culture.
Mm-hmm.
What's accepted here as norm become norm.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have to break what the Quran tells me is good and follow somebody else's culture, because the Constitution protect my freedom to live my life the way I want to live it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But I don't have to force my way of life over others. That's what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what we should be talking about a lot. Actually, a lot more. We should have focused in on this.
Well, unfortunately, my brother, unfortunately, some Americans who convert to Islam
Yeah.
are taught that in order to be a Muslim, you have to wear the thobes that is worn in Saudi Arabia
Right.
and was worn during the time of the Prophet.
Right.
Well, Arabia is a desert. United States is not necessarily Virginia is not a desert.
We have snow outside right now.
If you live in Virginia, you wear what is comfortable in Virginia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Islam is not the way you dress or the way how long your beard is.
Yeah.
Islam is what is in your heart, and translated into love for God and love for neighbor. That's what Islam is.
That's what Islam is, and and I wish that more Muslims would hold on to that
Well,
because
we hope that they will see this and learn a little bit from it. I hope.
yeah, because I could say it has been my experience that some of my fellow brother Muslims would think that it's growing a long beard and long hair and walking around with a kufi on their head all day and wearing desert dress is living the religion, but it prevents them from getting a job. You know, because nobody wants a person who looks like that. But
Well, brother,
some people who don't understand that. So it's
I can tell you stories about this, but I don't know. Islam is not rituals.
yeah,
Islam is not form. Islam, it's real behavior
yeah,
based on what is good for the person and the society he lives in.
mm-hmm,
A Muslim is no good if he is not able to change to the better the society he lives in.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We don't do that by forcing people to change their culture.
Yeah,
You need to work within that culture and build what is good. And Islam is not unable to do this. Islam is very wide. We narrow it, but it is very wide, and it will apply to every culture.
yeah. It's inclusive, very universal, and
Absolutely.
I quite agree with you. Tell me this. For some reason or another, as we were talking, you mentioned Saudi Arabia. There was a clip that I saw on recently where there was a complaint from an American woman who said that Islam was too strict on women and it made them walk around in hijabs all day. didn't allow them to drive cars and things like that. I don't know why the Saudis decided to keep their women from driving cars, which is very unusual and very unlike the Prophet's wife. So I don't understand what's going on there. Perhaps you can explain it.
Yes, I lived for like 20 plus years in Saudi Arabia,
Yeah,
and I know exactly what's going on there, and I can share it with you.
yeah,
Actually, Saudi Arabia was implementing what I call a far right understanding of Islam.
mhm,
And now they're implementing what I call a far left version of Islam. While the Quran asks me to be always in the middle,
yes, yes,
not far right and not far left, but in the middle. They went from preventing women from driving to opening discos and men and women going there meeting. And these are extremes.
yeah, yeah,
I don't like extremes. I don't think Islam prohibited man in a social environment
yeah,
to meet other women, their neighbors, their cousins, meet their neighbors
right,
and talk to them with respect. After all, when we are performing Hajj in the Haram, we are together.
yeah,
We're not segregated. If people don't understand this, I don't think they can understand anything. If you're if you're not integrate, if you are integrated in Haram, why do you want to segregate women from men everywhere else?
yes,
So what we need to do is understand that in Islam, men respect women and women respect men. Women are not better than men and men are not better than women. In many verses in the Quran, Allah shows that they are equal in His eyes.
yes.
They have different functions, but they are equal.
Mhm.
So Saudi Arabia now, by the way, allow women to drive.
Yes.
They can drive a car, they can drive a rocket, they can drive whatever they want to drive.
So it's
And
changed now.
they can drive their husband crazy also. So, so they're allowed to drive. Okay.
Oh man.
Yes. And for the person who asked you this question, I like to say, when women were considered creature without a soul in Europe, Islam recognized them as full human being and gave them inheritance
Mhm.
and allowed them to own businesses. And remember, the Prophet was asked to be married to Sayyida Khadija, a woman. She came to him and asked him to marry her.
Right.
He didn't ask her hand in marriage. She asked his hand in marriage. And they lived together for over 20 years until she died. So Islam allowed women for the first time in, in, in the known history to me to own property, to sell property, to inherit,
Mhm.
to have its own businesses, to run governmental positions. Sayyidina Omar put a woman in charge of the markets.
Mhm. Mhm. So we have a really poor image of what the Quran and the example of a prophet.
We're not
All,
doing a good job explaining the life of the Prophet and his teaching to the 99% American public around us.
yes,
We need to do a better job.
yes, I think that's right, and
Yes.
show the examples.
Yes.
The in Islam, is there a role for law enforcement and governance? I think you've actually covered that question quite well, but I want to give you an opportunity to kind of look at the topic of our constitutional rights, Americans' responsibility to maintain them, and see if we can consider that as we're talking about the last question.
Are you trying to talk about, I didn't understand the question. Are you trying to
Oh,
talk about the American public
yeah.
versus the rights they have?
I want to talk about the Constitution and the rights that the constitutional rights and Americans' responsibility to maintain them.
Well, actually, the founding fathers understood human nature.
Yeah.
And by the way, they were very intellectual people.
Yeah.
And I know at least two of them own copies of the Quran and the Constitution of Medina.
That's interesting.
So a lot of these freedoms that we talked about today came from the Constitution of Medina or the Quran directly. So because they were well-read and well-traveled people, they understood human nature. And they understood that if you leave a human being to free out of things that will, hold him back, he'll take over and try to be unjust to others. So the laws they gave us limit human freedom for the best interest of a human being. To protect my rights, I have limited freedoms, which are the same limitation my neighbors has.
Right.
But the essential rights that will allow me to think freely, to worship freely, are protected without any limits. So I think the American Constitution is well balanced. And wherever later we found that it is imbalanced, we had amendments.
13th, 14th, and 15th.
Absolutely. This is actually my feeling is the American Constitution is a good document that's worth saving and worth that we fight to protect it. And that's my responsibility and yours and the responsibility of our neighbors.
Yes.
I
think that's right. When I was reading Jefferson years ago, one of the things that I was impressed with was his writings on religious freedom, and those ideas were deeply familiar. And when I started to examine them and study them, I found out that almost verbatim, the translation was almost exact, like truth stands out clear from error, and he based that on his that was his foundational statement for religious freedom. Truth stands out, so you don't have to enforce it on anyone. And and this is a very
and that's
popular,
from the Quran.
That's right. It's a very popular Quranic verse. And he said if God wanted everybody to be one religion, he had the power to do it. That he has
As a
absolute
matter
power.
of fact, the Quran taught us that God created us different because he want us to be exposed to the other, learn from them, and compete in doing what is good. This competition between us can be healthy.
Yes. Yeah, I think so too. And you can learn from each other.
Absolutely.
I know I do. Because and it's interesting. I think I learned a lot about what was going on in places like Palestine and Israel in talking to brothers who were from that part of the world. And
yes, indeed.
And you it's hard to by the lies that are told in media when you had someone who was just there, a few months ago, a few years ago, and now he's living here in the United States. So it kind of gives you a global view that if you grow up here in some of our small communities that you won't get a chance to know anything about.
Well, I was shocked lately to find out that all our major media is owned by the same people. And that's like a monopoly. And that should not be allowed according to the law.
According to the law, that's right. And I'm hoping that they go forward with that.
Eventually, somebody will sue them under the monopoly laws, because I cannot be getting my news from the same people on all issues when they are party to the issues.
Right, they're party to the issues. That's right. So they have a hard time focusing there.
Absolutely.
Professor, and I'm calling you Professor again, but Dr. Kaskas, thank you for being on the Scholars Chair. You have given me more than I asked for, and the Scholars Chair is definitely grateful. I know our audience is, and I appreciate you very, very much for your time.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure being with you, Brother Khalil. I enjoy being with you. Thank you very much.